Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we live. And again, as I mentioned in previous videos, I am sick, so if my voice sounds strange, that's why. But anyhow, every Thursday I've been doing a series called Is He a Hall of Famer, where I take a look at a professional athlete who may be seen as on the fence as to whether their career was Hall of Fame caliber or not, and decide whether they should get in. I had been doing guys whose career recently ended or their career is winding down. I think for the next few weeks at least. I mean, you can't do there's not thousands of players who are on the fence. I'm going to do players who may have been retired a while now and have yet to be inducted into their sports hall of fame. So today we're going to take a look at a baseball player. May have been seen as controversial, had a surly attitude, but boy, was he productive. That is Albert Belle. Albert Belle actually started his career known as Joey Bell, but first played with the then known as Cleveland Indians from 1989 until 1996. The following two seasons, 97 and 98, he played for the Chicago White Sox. His final two seasons were in 1999 and 2000 with the Orioles. Unfortunately, hip ailment caused his career to be cut short, playing just 12 seasons in the big leagues. But again, those 12 seasons were mighty productive. Let's take a look at his baseball reference page. As you see, 295 career batting average, 381 homers, 1,239 RBIs, 933 OPS, 144 OPS plus. Yes, that 40.1 WAR isn't that high. Again, his career was just 12 seasons, though, and he wasn't providing much value as a defensive player, although he did have some seasons with quite a bit of outfield assists. But if we take a look at his season-by-season numbers, clearly could see how productive he just was. A lot of black ink, as you see, led the league in runs once, doubles once, homers once, RBIs three times, slugging percentage twice, OPS once, OPS plus once, and total bases three times. Yes, he did lead in grounding into double plays once. He did that quite often, but also twice led in sacrifice flies. In that 95 season, he became the first player in Major League history to have both 50 doubles and 50 homers in a season. He's still the only guy to do that. And you have to wonder, he did not get along with the media at all. You have to wonder if that's the reason why Mo Vaughn was given the MVP over him, even though that season he led the league in runs, doubles, homers, RBIs, slugging percentage, and total bases. He also had two third-place finishes in MVP voting, one seventh place and one eighth place, so 5 seasons where he finished top 8 in AL MVP voting. And in all 5 of those seasons, he was also named a Silver Slugger. For each of his last 9 seasons in the big leagues, Bell had over 100 RBIs. I mean, look at how productive he was. We'll start with 91, 28 homers, 95 RBIs. 92, 34 homers, 112 RBIs. 93, 38 homers, 129 RBIs. 94, 36 homers, 101 RBIs. 95, 50 homers, 126 RBIs. 96, 48 homers, 148 RBIs. 97, 30 homers, 116 RBIs. 98, 49 homers, 152 RBIs. 99, 37 homers, 117 RBIs. And his last season in the big leagues, 23 homers, 103 RBIs. Had 4 seasons in his career where he had over a 1,000 OPS. So again, just very few hitters were as productive as him in his prime. He actually became the first $10 million a year player in Major League Baseball history. Hit for high averages at times. I mean, just short of 300 career batting average. Had 3 straight seasons over a 300 batting average, including 357, and the strikes shortened 94 season. So from 94 to 96, batted over 300, as well as 1998. Bell also had a total of 8 seasons. Each of his last 8 seasons, he had at least 35 doubles as well. Even had some base stealing in certain years of his career. 3 seasons where he went over double digits in stolen bases. Never was a huge strikeout guy. Twice went over 100 strikeouts. Did have a season with over 100 walks. Then not quite the strikeout numbers of some of the power hitters in that day. So, was someone who didn't have cheap, easy at bats for opposing pitchers. So, again, an extraordinarily productive career for Albert Belle. You see, defensive WAR, not fond of him, negative 12.3 in his career. Every season he had a negative defensive WAR. So, that, I guess that depends on how much you believe in defensive WAR. I think I've always thought sluggers like him, Gary Sheffield, their WAR's a little too low. It takes maybe they're not defensive stalwarts, but it just doesn't fully encapsulate how great they were on offense. So a WAR's a fun stat, but, I don't, take it as gospel. It's fun to use to compare people, but, I don't believe it should be used to say, oh, this guy's better because he has a better WAR than that guy. But anyhow, we look at his postseason, only 230 batting average, but despite that, a 962 OPS as he had 6 homers, 17 walks in 79 plate appearances. Did make a World Series in 1995 with the Indians against the Atlanta Braves, where they lost. He did hit 2 homers in that World Series. So taking a look at some of his career marks. Let's see what we got here. So we say you have to have at least 5% of the vote to stay on the Hall of Fame ballot. 2006, 7.7%. Barely stayed on the ballot. By the second year, he was off in 2007. Again, I'm sure a lot of that had to do with how disliked he was by the media. Again, as I mentioned, was a super surly player, had an attitude. So I'm sure that played a large role in him not receiving many votes in Hall of Fame voting, but his 564 slugging percentage, 17th all time. His 933 OPS is 35th all time. So, clearly one of the all-time great hitters, 59th all time in OPS plus. So, again, 3 seasons leading the league in extra base hits. Very few can say they had the peak that Albert Belle did as an offensive player. Yes, he played in an era where offensive numbers were much higher than they were in other eras, but he was still one of the best in that era. So this website here, Cooperstown Cred, peak performance, Albert Belle's case for the Hall of Fame, written on November 26, 2022 by Chris Bodig. So let me scroll down because it mentions some interesting stats about Albert Belle. Mentions the media. I'll quickly go over that. So in his book, Cooperstown Confidential, Zev Chaffetz quoted a longtime columnist from the New York Daily News about his feelings upon learning that Belle would have to retire early. He was a surly jerk before he got hurt, and now's a hurt surly jerk. He was no credit to the game. Belle's boorish behavior should be remembered by every member of the Baseball Writers Association when it comes time to consider him for the Hall of Fame. So Bill Madden holding back no punches with that one. Clearly not a fan of Albert Belle, as were many people in the media who did not like him whatsoever. But it also mentions, let's start a few juicy numbers. Albert Belle is one of just 11 players in MLB history to post 9 consecutive seasons with 100 RBIs or more. Others are Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Fox, Al Simmons, Albert Pujols, Rafael Palmeiro, Sammy Sosa, Manny Ramirez, Alex Rodriguez, and Miguel Cabrera. Hall of Famers or would-be Hall of Famers, but 4 of them have PED allegations or suspensions to their name and why they're not in. Bell also had 8 consecutive seasons with at least 30 homers, 100 RBIs. Only 9 other players have done that. Ruth, Gehrig, Fox, Palmeiro, Ramirez, Sosa, Pujols, A-Rod, and kind of surprising name at the end, Mark Teixeira, not really a guy who's been debated whether he should be in the Hall of Fame. His career slugging percentage of 564 is 13th best for players with at least 5,000 plate appearances, behind 8 Hall of Famers, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Ramirez, and the still active Mike Trout. OPS plus of 144 is tied for 43rd best on all-time list, 5,000 plate appearances, behind 32 Hall of Famers plus Bonds, McGwire, Ramirez, 19th century star Pete Browning, shoeless Joe Jackson, we know why he's not in, Dick Allen, probably should be in, Albert Pujols, and the still active Trout, Paul Goldschmidt, and Joey Votto. So, again, Albert Belle, extremely productive career, albeit a shortened one, just 12 seasons, but he definitely made the best of them, especially at an offensive standpoint. We do know that MLB Baseball has their character clause for the Baseball Hall of Fame, so that could, if voters are looking at that, that may be why they don't vote him in. He was a part of the contemporary eras ballot last year. That's the ballot that Fred McGriff got inducted on. So Albert Belle was not inducted there. We also got to keep in mind, Albert Belle did get caught with a corked bat. And if you want to read up on what happened in that story, it's pretty hysterical, as he had relief pitcher Jason Grimsley, climbing through the ceiling trying to get to the locked umpire's room to switch bats. So, that's kind of a black eye on his career. But when you look at his numbers, very few can match him. I mentioned 1 of 9 guys that do 2 different things: 30 homers, 100 RBIs, 8 consecutive seasons, and 9 consecutive seasons with 100 RBIs or more. Was 1 of 11 players that do that. Again, the only member of the 50-50 double home run club. I've always thought he should be in. I live in New Jersey, so the New York area. I've always, especially as a kid, Mike and the Mad Dog, Mike Francesa, absolutely was banging the table for Albert Belle to get in. So I'm kind of on board with that. I get there's a character clause, but, very few in the history of the game were as productive as Belle in his prime. It's not like his boorish behavior caused his teams to suffer, like he was a cancer to the team. Again, his Cleveland made multiple postseasons with him, including a World Series. But let me know in the comments, do you think Albert Belle should eventually get in the Hall of Fame, or do you think either A, his career was too short, or B, that, the character clause, he's also gotten arrested off the post-playing career. So, would that affect his chances of getting in? Let me know in the comments. So, and again, let me know other guys you would like me to do for future episodes. I really enjoy doing these. Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications.